All right, folks. UFC 261 is in the books. It was an insane event in every way, shape, or form. Fans were back. The energy was amazing from the first prelim fight. I've been to fights in the past, and normally, about 10% of the audience is there when the early prelims start. For this one, I think over 40% was there. They said that there was well over 5,000 folks in the 15,000 seat arena. And things got started right away. So let's just get right into it. And we're going to recap the entire event, starting with the early prelims. I caught some of these fights. I didn't catch all of them. I did catch the first one, the women's strawweight bout, and fireworks right from the beginning. I may pronounce some names wrong, but Ariane Carnelossi looked absolutely phenomenal, weathered some early adversity from her opponent, and then took her down, and the ground and pound scored her a TKO. Um, I mean, just what a way to have a UFC debut as the kickoff on the first card in over a year without with fans is just I can't even imagine the amount of adrenaline and excitement that must have been flowing through both those fighters um, in that match. And Ariane looked phenomenal. I look forward to seeing her fighting again. She's someone that I would like to get on another day in the octagon for an interview and discuss all the nerves and emotions and the victory. Hopefully we can make that happen. And then the rest of the prelims were excellent. The following Molina versus Ori, that one fight of the night for good reason. Back and forth bout. I could have sworn multiple times that it was going to get stopped, and it didn't. It went the full 3 rounds. Very entertaining. Then I'm going to skip ahead. I didn't see the next couple of fights, but I did catch Randy Brown, Alex Oliveira's fight, and that one was some fireworks as well. Randy Brown looked incredible. Also looked enormous. I don't understand how that man. I think They said he was 6'3". Is potentially making weight at 170 over and over and over again. I don't understand. That weight cut must be insane because he does not look weak at all in the cage. He's not, super slender. He definitely has good muscle build. Obviously, he is, a little lanky, but he looked absolutely incredible. Kept Alex at a distance for a while. They went back and forth. It wasn't, extremely clear who had the advantage until Randy landed that right hand that sat Alex down, and from there he proceeded to finish him with a one arm rear naked choke, something you don't see very often. Joe Rogan made a ton of comments about the fact that he had really never seen that happen before, and I hadn't either. But you can kind of understand with Randy's wingspan, he was able to get that arm, so deep under the chin of Alex Oliveira that it kind of makes sense. And then obviously when it got to the ground, I think Randy did apply some pressure with his other hand, but nonetheless, an incredible victory. I loved the plug for his own Twitch, baiting some fans with content to go there, where he would talk about the bad blood, and there definitely was some bad blood as the fight ended. You probably saw that he threw up the middle finger and screamed some obscenities. I saw a lot of people talking about the lack of sportsmanship. I credit that to a lot of the adrenaline that was going on. I don't know if there were issues prior to the fight or mid-fight with them talking to each other. I always like watching Alex Oliveira as well. Thought it was a great matchup. So hopefully they can put that to rest. Obviously, Alex Oliveira showed some good sportsmanship when they were doing the final announcement of the winner. And then there's the main card. I just want to share some of the footage. I mean, this was the prelims. As you can see, the middle seating there is not all the way filled in, but just amazing to have that many fans back in attendance. I haven't looked into a ton of the situations on how they handled COVID, but I know that they were using Clear, which is actually what um, me and a few other of my friends use at the airports to get through really quickly. It involves a lot of sort of pre-registration and check-ins. So interested to read more about how they did that, but certainly there were very little mask wearing occurring. Chalk that up to Florida and their regulations, but it sure was nice to see that many fans back and just being able to enjoy fights and not have to worry about the pandemic. Share the Jake Paul in DC was really interesting. I mean, the stars were out, full fledged. I saw Justin Gaethje there. I saw Tom Brady. I saw Antonio Brown, Tim Tebow. Really saw a lot of stars there. Probably forgetting a few, but this was the one that captured the attention. Jake Paul and his goons sort of squaring off against analyst, commentator, former heavyweight champion, former light heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier. I don't know exactly how this got started, and I certainly don't know, what words were exchanged. I know that DC said that that he would slap him for being disrespectful, and it seems like it's really interesting how Jake Paul's interacting with the UFC community. He's doing it quite brilliantly from a marketing perspective. Everyone in the stadium was chanting, "F Jake Paul," numerous times throughout the night, which I'm sure delighted him because it's getting him a ton of press and everyone can hear it. On the broadcast, I could certainly hear it at my home, and um, it's a really brilliant marketing tactic. Obviously, he has to have some pretty thick skin, but I hope that nothing turns violent, and that UFC stars are able to cross over and make some money with Jake, and Jake's able to make some money with UFC stars, and get some, I guess, easier fights against non-traditional boxers, maybe fighting more wrestlers, more jiu-jitsu guys. But it's going to be interesting. It was very weird that they were squaring off like this. DC is a pretty calm guy too. I mean, other than John Jones, I mean, no one's really brought out that sort of anger and aggression. So speaks to Jake Paul. And then there was this fight, Anthony Smith versus Jimmy Crute. I had actually picked Jimmy Crute to win this fight. Um, Obviously, that didn't happen. TKO stoppage after the first round, with just a brilliantly placed kick from Anthony Smith right above or right on the knee of Jimmy Crute. Um, I thought that Jimmy Crute would end up getting it done in the second or third round. It looked pretty even, back and forth. Obviously, Anthony Smith was striking quite well. Jimmy Crute ended up getting the takedown after that kick was landed. I did not understand right away the urgency and why he took him down like that, but it was a very impressive blast double leg. Got Anthony Smith down. Anthony Smith got back up and he took him down again. And then it was very evident after the first round why he was trying to take him down. It was because that leg was compromised. Um, credit to Jimmy Crute for trying to um, continue, trying to hobble around and sort of show that he's fine. You can see there, he's ready to go to war again, but and you see the frustration. But I mean, obviously that leg just adrenaline or not it was not okay to continue competing. You can see a number of UFC stars over here in the comment section, wishing him well, admiring his bravery, and Anthony Smith, of course, giving him, the respect that he deserves. I hope they run it back. I really do. It seemed like a very good matchup for Anthony Smith. I'm hoping that, after he, went through his last war, um, with that first round submission over Devin Clark. He weathered Devin Clark's athleticism and energy and was able to take him out. If he were to beat Jimmy Crute, I really would like to see Anthony Smith start getting more top contenders again. He's just such, an overall great human being, a great MMA athlete. And just, I feel like he has proved that he's now gone down, and fluke accident or not, I think that was a very strategic leg kick on his behalf. A lot of folks after the Conor fight and after several other leg kick fights, they can say the Sean O'Malley, Cheeto Vera fight. You can say that maybe these things are fluke accidents, but when you see them happen over and over, and it's a deliberate kick to a deliberate area, you actually got to chalk it up to skill, in my opinion. So credit to Anthony Smith. I'd like to see him either run it back with Jimmy Crute, but it seems like Jimmy it might take some time for him to recover, and if so, I think that he was number 6 fighting number 13. I hope that he gets somebody around number 6, or maybe a 4 or 5, 3. So I really hope that he gets the respect he deserves after this. Obviously, it looked like he was on his way down after a couple losses were stacking up over and over, but maybe he's on the way back up. Then there was the most gruesome and shortest fight of the night. I almost don't even want to show this image. I'll say, straight up that if you have a weak stomach, look away, and I will let you know when we switch the photo back. But I do have to recap the Chris Weidman, Uriah Hall fight. This was a really sad, really underwhelming fight, and I really just hope that everything is okay for Chris Weidman. Obviously, he had the leg injury pretty much the 17 seconds in from the opening bell against Uriah Hall through a really tough calf kick, and just shattered his shin. It looked horrible in the replays. Obviously, he was in a ton of pain. It's the worst leg injury that I can remember since Kevin Ware on Louisville way back, I think 2012 or 2013. Went to close out on a 3-pointer and ended up snapping his leg. I really wish Chris Weidman the best. I think that Uriah Hall handled it really well, gave Weidman the respect that he deserved, offered to run it back once Weidman gets healthy. Obviously, did not take any pride in winning this way, and just was really solemn for most of it until Joe Rogan got him on the interview. Very respectful display by Uriah Hall, as always. And Chris Weidman, I just wish you the best, man. I hope that you recover well, and if you choose to keep fighting, keep fighting. If you choose to retire, I don't think anybody would fault you. An incredible career, and just an absolutely horrible injury. Then there were the championship bouts. Valentina Shevchenko against Jessica Andrade. Just a masterclass put on by Valentina Shevchenko again. Jessica Andrade looked ready to compete, very strong, but Shevchenko's form and strength just a little bit too much. Scored numerous takedowns against Andrade, and it ended up putting her in a really nasty position where she trapped both of her arms. It was just raining down elbows, punches, elbows, punches. It looked like Andrade was going to get out of it for a little bit. And then, Valentina ended up sort of sinking it back in, and just really rough. I was happy to see that Andrade was okay after. She seemed very respectful towards Valentina. And Valentina, I mean, other than Amanda Nunes, who's going to beat her? I mean, I don't. It's really, really tough. I mean, you have the Lauren Murphy fight coming up versus Joanna Calderwood. That'll be interesting, but I don't know who's going to beat her. I mean, she's so fast, she's so strong, she's so technically adept that I just don't see another person in that division being able to hold a candle to her. I just don't. Um, so we'll have to see who wins that fight and what they do with Valentina. It didn't sound like she had any thoughts about retiring or moving up or down weight classes. And why should she just continue to dominate, have fun, do that awesome dance that she does, and maintain her nickname as the Bullet for sure. Then there was Rose Namajunas versus Weili Zhang. Um, this was a bit of a surprise to me, and as you can see, very exciting for John Anik, Joe Rogan, and Daniel Cormier. Um, I picked Weili Zhang to win this fight. I thought that she was going to come out a little bit stronger than Rose, and you know, it just wasn't to be. Rose was extremely focused. She was very sharp on the feet, and ended up catching Weili Zhang at the perfect time. They showed the slow motion replay, and Weili Zhang had her hands up, and just as she moved her arm out a little bit, Rose caught her with the head kick. And from there, sat her down very quickly, jumped on top, ended up, getting pulled off. And that was that. So Weili Zhang, obviously, she contested the stoppage. I never get mad when fighters contest a stoppage right after it happens, especially when they take some blunt force like the head kick that Rose delivered. And that's basically just because, I mean, there's a good chance that they, are caught up in the moment and have so much adrenaline that they don't actually know what just happened. It's happened, over and over and over again. Where a fighter thinks that they can keep going and they have, the adrenaline, they don't realize what just happened. So I think once Weili Zhang, rewatches the fight, she'll probably be a little bit more understanding of the stoppage. But I did see something come out this morning that she is calling for a rematch. I think that makes sense. I mean, I know that there's a ton of other opponents that they could give Rose right now, but and we'll have to see, what happens with concussion protocol and things like that. But I mean, we really didn't get to see an all-out war between, Zhang and Namajunas. We really saw that, Rose timed one technique perfectly and was able to connect. And all the credit to her. But I would like to see them run it back. It would be very interesting to see, if things go into the later rounds, who really has the advantage striking, if either of them get it to the ground, that sort of thing. With Weili Zhang, I mean, she's been on an absolute tear, has been outstriking opponents. I think she had 20 or 21 wins in a row. This was her first loss, first time being finished. It's going to be really interesting to see how she rebounds. I'd love to see her get another shot. She was catapulted to, the championship. I think she was number 6 when she fought Jessica Andrade for the championship, and then had a very impressive display against Joanna. And so, it'll be very interesting to see how she bounces back from this fight. And I wish her all the best. We've exchanged DMs before. I've been very big on Weili Zhang since, her original debut in the UFC. But last night was Rose Namajunas night. And we'll see now that she is the champion once again, how long her second reign will last. And then, of course, the main event, an absolutely crazy finish to the fight. Jorge Masvidal looked like he was having some success on the feet. Obviously, he got taken down, as you see there. And Usman had the clear advantage. There was some banter after the first round. But what really, I mean, was incredible to me is, Masvidal obviously fancies himself a striker. Usman can strike, but is not known for, having a ridiculous knockout power. Masvidal obviously made a lot of comments leading up to the fight that, that Usman didn't have the power that he expected him to have in the previous fight. And so, when I thought about this fight, I thought Kamaru Usman gets it done either via decision or via ground and pound. I thought that he, might be able to control Masvidal on the ground. Obviously, he has, a little bit of a better physique, I guess, and, in terms of muscles, and could hold him down, ground and pound, and maybe, get a stoppage there. I did not see this coming. I did pick Usman to win, but wow, I did not see him, one shot knockout of Masvidal. Masvidal looked like he was having some fun in there. There was a lot of talking. There was a lot of, putting the hands down, not respecting the power. Masvidal admitted that in the post conference. But wow, the power of Usman, the timing of Usman, and the willingness to stand in there with, one of the most elite strikers in the UFC, go toe to toe and actually finish the fight on the feet. Absolutely incredible. You can see it here. And I mean, Usman at this point, we have to start talking about, greatest welterweight and sort of GOAT discussion. I understand he has a loss on the record. Didn't occur in the UFC. I think he's either 14 or 15-0 in the UFC now. His body of work is absolutely amazing. Kamaru Usman is just looks completely unstoppable. And what's amazing is, much like John Jones when he was at his prime in the light heavyweight division, he's finishing top contenders. He's not winning, squeaking out via decision. He is absolutely finishing people, as you can see here. Finished Masvidal last night, obviously. Also TKO against Gilbert Burns this year. Just want to call out that these fights were only 70 days apart, which is outstanding. And then when you get down here, I mean, he beat Jorge Masvidal last year via decision. He knocked out Colby Covington in the 5th round. He absolutely dominated Tyron Woodley. At times it looked like that fight was going to get stopped. Going further back, I mean, he's got his wins over, Prime Dos Anjos, Prime Maya, and then further back, I mean, he's been on an absolute tear, has beat, really the who's who recently, and has never lost in the UFC, all the way back in 2015, a matchup against Leon Edwards. I guess, in terms of what's next, the UFC was talking about Colby Covington, getting that championship opportunity. I don't mind that. They had an absolutely beautiful war 2 years ago, back and forth. At times it looked like Colby was going to, win via decision, or, might have gotten Kamaru in some trouble. But, all the credit to Kamaru Usman. He did end up finishing that fight very, very late in the 5th round. I would love to see him run it back with Colby. I'd also love to see if Leon Edwards, squeaks by Nate Diaz, which is no easy task. I would love to see him square off against Usman again. Obviously, they fought back in 2015 and Usman won pretty decisively, but I mean, that's, 6, or by the time they fight, probably 7 years ago. Leon Edwards has gone on an absolute tear since then. Kamaru Usman, his body of work speaks for itself. But those two squaring off would be really fun to see the adjustments that Leon Edwards makes. Again, if he is able to defeat, Nate Diaz at UFC 262, Houston Toyota Center coming up next month. But really, I mean, Kamaru Usman just looks unstoppable. He gets a lot of comparisons with GSP's reign in the same division. And I think it's only going to take a couple more wins before I would, consider him absolutely the GOAT of welterweight, and definitely in the discussion, with the John Jones, with the Khabib, of, greatest of all time MMA athlete. Amanda Nunes, Demetrius Johnson. Don't want to leave anybody out that's in that debate, but yeah, UFC 261, maybe the best card we've seen in years. I really liked UFC 260. That was the fights with Stipe Miocic versus Ngannou, Tyron Woodley versus Vicente Luque, Sean O'Malley versus Thomas Almeida, Miranda Maverick versus Jillian Robertson, and Jamie Malarkey versus Kama Worthy. That was a good card. I don't think it was as good as this. I mean, I just don't. I don't recall ever seeing a UFC card where all 5 of the main fights and several of the prelims were finishes. Obviously, there were huge names on this card, 3 championship fights. I mean, I really think this might have been the best card that UFC put together ever, considering that it was the first time that they were welcoming back all of these fans. So looks like the event was a success. I hope that, Weidman is okay. I hope that, Rose is able to celebrate her new championship. Credit to Usman and Shevchenko for, defending their belts. And, now just looking forward, it's even more exciting to see, fans back in attendance in Houston for the Nate Diaz, Leon Edwards fight, the Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler fight, so many other great matchups on that card. And then it also looks like Vittori versus Adesanya is scheduled for June 12th, as well as Davison Figueiredo versus Brendan Moreno. So that's going to be an absolutely amazing card too. But until then, this has been the UFC 261 recap. If you like what you hear, please subscribe. Please, toss a like and comment something. If you have any questions or you want to throw something in, I'd love to, sort of go back and forth in the discussion. And pretty soon we're going to start having MMA athletes on. We have several athletes and coaches booked for this week. And so once we record those, we will start releasing the episodes as they're ready. And I'm just really excited for this journey and really appreciate your support. And if you know anybody who's interested in MMA and, maybe takes it quite seriously, please refer them to this podcast. And I would be just so appreciative. Thank you, and have a great day, everybody.